Hey everyone, my name is Vic. I'm with VTS Transportation. I drove for 5 years, so I had definitely times when I needed to put on the chains. So we wanted to show you guys a demo, proper way to install chains, and some tips and tricks and tools that will be helpful when you'll be putting on the chains. All right, so very important thing when you're installing chains is actually waterproofing your hands, because it's gonna be really cold, it's gonna be wet, and your hands, they're gonna freeze, go numb under a minute. So it's really hard to find waterproof gloves that you can still work, on the chains. So what I do actually is I get some medium, small size gloves. I put them on first, and then I would put on some rubber gloves. And literally on top of that, I would put on some working gloves, and then you're protected, you're warm, and you have some dexterity in your fingers. Second thing that's very important is a flashlight. It might be dark, you know what I mean? Something like with a magnet that you can put up under the trailer, a swivel head, and you'll be able to see what you're doing. And another third thing is actually the most important part when it comes to safety is at minimum a high visibility vest. If you can get a parka or something that's fully waterproofing with a hood, it's also high visibility, I think that's probably the best way to go. Because a lot of trucks are driving around, there's a lot of traffic, it's white everywhere, there's spots of pavement that there's no snow, and everything kind of blends in. You want to stand out. You definitely want to stand out. Trucks, everybody passing, a lot of traffic. I think that's probably the most important thing. All right, so the very first thing you want to do is you want to remove the chains off the rack, and you want to lay them out so you can visually inspect them and make sure the chains are actually safe to use. So this is my demo chain that I showed to all my drivers. Essentially what kind of faults can happen and what would be an unusable chain. So first thing is when you're missing a hook, you can't tie the chain together, it is an unusable chain. Anytime you're missing a link or a cam, it will make the chain unusable. So when you lay out your chain for inspection, what you want to do is have all of these hooks face up and all of these cams to face in the same direction. A lot of the times when you remove the chains, they get tangled up and one of the cams ends up facing the wrong direction, and it appears that no matter what you try to do, you just can't get it untangled. Best thing to do is to see where the chain is actually tangled and pull the chain through itself. All right, so now I'm gonna grab the chain, I'm gonna put it on top of the tire, having it face down. I'm gonna push the chain as much as I can under the tire. That way, so when I get in the truck and I back up, I drive over the chain and there's not too much slack. So when you pick the chains up, you want to grab them by the inside part, and somewhere in the middle, you grab them. When you put them on the tire, you want the chain to hug the tire. It is very important that these cams are on the outside and not on the inside of the tire. Also, you want to put the chain enough so when you back up, don't back up too much, so this chain ends up falling back. You're going to essentially have to restart. It's also important to make sure to put the chain as close as you can towards the tire, because if you end up running over 2 ribs of chain, you won't be able to tighten the chain, or you'll tighten the chain thinking that it's good, you'll start driving, it'll loosen up, and it'll fall off. So our next step is to get in the truck, back up over the chain, safety first, look around the truck, make sure there's nobody around, everybody's trying to put on chains. It's very important, watch for pedestrians and people working. When you get in the truck and you start backing up, do it very, very slowly. Essentially what we're trying to do is a quarter turn of the tire. We don't want to do half turn because the chain will fall off, and now you drove over the chain, now you have to get out, pull the chain out, get back in the truck, drive forward. Best bet is about a quarter, and on the pavement it'll look about a foot of driving. On the inside and about even on the outside. This is exactly what we're looking for. So I'm gonna hook this outside part to the tightest link that I can get, which is this. Now we're gonna take and tighten all of these cams. We got 4 of them. 1, 2, 3. If you want to grab it with your hand also, you know what I mean? It's gonna be like super tight. Also very important that these connecting hooks, all of them are facing outside. There's so much tension on the tire that if these hooks are facing inside, they're gonna tear up the sidewall of the tire. Major mistakes when putting on chains is either too loose on the inside or too tight on the inside. Has to be the same circumference both on the inside, on the outside. Same amount of chain on the inside as it is on the outside. Only then you'll be able to lock all 4 cams. So this is a spider bungee. Essentially its purpose is to keep tension on the chain. So if the chain breaks, it's gonna pull the chain outside. So this isn't a substitute for a tight chain. If your chain is loose, you have to retighten it. You have to restart and do it again. It has to be tight to a point where you cannot move it. It is not wobbling on the tire. No matter what you do, there's no wiggle room on it. So when connecting the spider bungee, you don't want to connect it with the hooks facing towards the tire because it'll end up damaging the sidewall of the tire. What you want to do is just connect it like this. Tighten one all the way down. Make sure not to connect the bungee on any of the cams. So once you put on your chains correctly, what you want to do is you want to get inside the truck. You want to drive about 500 feet and you want to pull over somewhere safe, come out and inspect your chains, check for any movement. If you have any slack in the chain, you're going to have to redo that chain because it's definitely guaranteed that that chain is going to fall off once you start driving. So when you're driving with chains on, maximum speed is 25 miles per hour. When you're going to be driving, it's going to sound like a rumble sound. When you're driving, it's very important that you listen for any noises of chain breaking loose, chain banging against the trailer. If you hear any kind of noises other than a rumble sound, you want to pull over somewhere safe and inspect the chains. It is very important to listen for all noises, any audible alerts, because if a chain rips, it can rip towards the inside. It can get tangled all inside the brake hoses, ABS wires, and if it starts tearing all of that up, you're going to be stuck on the side of the road and waiting for service. So I'm Victor, I'm the mechanic at VTS. As you know, VTS is 24 hours. If you're ever in trouble, if you ever need service, need any guidance, definitely give us a call, call dispatch, call after hours. We're definitely here to help any kind of bind you can be in.